Hello everybody, welcome back to Reaper Minis TV. For this episode we're going to start off with a look at two new Warlord armies that I'm building, and then we'll get into some reviews. Okay, so here's my big box of unpainted and unassembled figures. There's two armies in here, and up in this corner you can see bits and pieces of lots of giants, and then down here, sort of make out, you'll see them more later on, a bunch of dark elves. So what I've got working is an Icingstead and a Darkreach army. With the Icingstead army, I'm going to have 3 troops. First one here at the top is going to be led by Bjorg Blackrime, and there's going to be 2 Frost Giant Spearmen with him. You can see the bits. Got a lot of assembly to do. He's going to get a magic weapon also. And then for the second troop we have Svetlana, the Frost Giant Princess, and 2 Frost Giant Warriors. And I'm going to probably mix up the offhand weapon between the Warriors and the Spearmen, just to add a little bit of variety. And the last troop is going to have Dorog Frostclaw, the Yeti Chieftain, 3 Yeti Warriors, and then the Yeti Shaman. So, not a whole lot of guys. There's only 11 figures in the entire army. They're all on large bases, so it is a big, sort of in-your-face kind of army, and that's what I intended to do with them. Retail price-wise, it comes out to a little over $200 for the entire army, but for me, I think there's some additional usability in a D&D or Pathfinder game, anywhere if you want to drop a big cold weather type of encounter on a bunch of high-level PCs. The Darkreach army has several more troops in it. The first one is made up of Majestrix Latisula. Oh, I knew I was going to butcher that. Anyway, she's got an assassin in her troops, a Shadowstep warrior, 2 Nightshade warriors, and a Book of Tactics. And then we've got another one that I'm just going to trash the name of. She is Evshyvandra Duskwidow. Somebody's going to tell me if that's wrong. There are 3 crossbowmen, they're called Shiver Spikes, with her, and then there's also a sorceress that's going to be in with this group also. For troop number 3, we have a Dark Elf Priestess, a Sorcerer, 2 Shadowstep Warriors, 1 Nightshade Warrior, and the Priestess is going to be wearing Doomshade Boots, which is a magic item. Now, in this one, I have swapped out a Pathfinder Sorcerer for the regular one that comes for the Darkreach army, and that's just a personal preference on my part. I like this guy a little bit better. Okay, Troop 4 is going to be a Phase Cat or Displacer Beast for D&D fans. The 5th troop is going to be another Phase Cat, and then the 6th one is going to be a Shadow Dragon. And here's what the regular Shadow Dragon looks like for the Darkreach army, but I've decided to use the Pathfinder Jabberwock instead, just because it's a bizarre and cool looking figure that is still going to work as a dragon just fine. And then when we total it up, the Darkreach army has 17 figures and comes in at around $165. So it's going to be considerably, or at least noticeably, cheaper than the Giants, but also has some extra usability if you're running any kind of D&D campaign in the Underdark or something like that. Alright folks, so that's a look at the 2 new Warlord armies that I'm building. I'll periodically insert some updates here and there through other videos as I get the armies built and primed and on their way to being painted and based and flocked and ready for play. So check in and you'll see them here and there. Okay, let's get into some reviews now, and first up we have a figure that's released in the P65 line. This is Frulla, a female frost giant, and it's a single piece figure. It was previously released in the Dark Heaven Legends line, and it's a frost giant. It's not as big or bulky as some of the newer frost giants like you see in my army, but I think that you could probably drop her into that army just as an alternate frost giant or giantess warrior if you wanted to. She does need some cleaning. You can see there are some bits from the casting process, mostly on her axe. There's also some visible mold lines going down her leg and on the axe itself that you'll just need to scrape and clean up. But detail is still good on the model, no defects or anything like that. She is wearing fairly skimpy attire, but as most frost giants are, they have resistance against cold, so it's not going to be a big deal for her. Next up is a figure that I absolutely fell in love with as soon as I saw the previews of it. This is Shred Bloodgill. He is a Hammerhead Wereshark. if you're playing a D&D or Pathfinder game, or whatever kind of high fantasy role-playing game where you maybe have a lot of pirates involved, or your characters are based in a coastal town or anything like that, I think this would be an awesome antagonist for a game like that. But for my purposes, I'm going to use him in my Razig army. In the Razig army, and just in case you don't remember, they're undead pirates, so you have zombie pirates and skeleton pirates and things like that. There is a special figure called Carcarius, and what Carcarius is, he is a giant Wereshark, but it's a non-unique special model, so that means you can have more than one of them in your army. I have 2 of the Carcarius models, and then I'll use this guy as a third, just so I can run 3, or not 3 different, but 3 big Wereshark kind of models in a game if I want to. So, very cool looking model. You can see it comes in multiple pieces, so there's going to be a little bit of assembly and cleaning involved with it, but well worth the effort just from a coolness factor, and for me, huge double duty I'm going to get out of it in my Razig army. Next up is a figure that you saw a glimpse of in my Darkreach army. This is Evshyvandra, I think I got it more correct that time, Duskwidow, and it's a female fighter figure. Comes in 2 pieces. The bulk of the figure is the body, the head, and her left arm that carries a shield has a very nice spider motif that's sculpted onto the shield itself. Should be very easy to pick out when you're painting it. And then her right hand holds a nasty looking serrated short sword that you'll have to clip off the base and glue it up about at her shoulder. If not used in a Darkreach army like I'm going to do, I think she would make a very passable drow PC for D&D. You could use her as the leader of a Dark Elf unit in Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and I might pick up a second one to base on a 20mm square base to do just that with. And then to round things out for this episode, we have a release from the Chronoscope line. This is Zonkers, another killer clown. And this figure comes with 5 pieces. The body and arms of the clown itself is a single piece, and you can see he's carrying a seltzer bottle in his right hand. If you want to make the evil clown version of him, you can make that into a little blowtorch or welding torch, I suppose, for a nasty surprise. Now, on the sprue that comes separate, you've got 2 heads and 2 alternate weapons or things to carry in his other hand. One of the heads is more your regular happy clown kind of head, but you could make it more menacing depending on how you painted it. The second head is almost like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface head. It could just be a leather mask that was made out of some poor victim's skin. And then he's carrying a bomb, and you could also pick between that or a large mallet that he would be carrying in his left hand. He fits in with the other killer clown very well. You could make 2 happy clowns or 2 killer clowns out of this. I think they're really more intended to be the bad, evil, menacing, nightmarish kind of clowns, though. Alright, everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Reaper Minis TV. We'll see you next time.